The first thing, of course, the primary charge to pilots on both sides, both aircraft and helicopter, in VFR conditions, which, without clouds you're able to see, is to see and avoid. So in this case, one complicating factor is that the communications to the helicopter and the airplane were on different frequencies. So the situational awareness would go down a little bit, especially for the airliner, not knowing that the tower was talking to this other aircraft. The vision requirements, see and avoid means you can see. We've learned just recently that the helicopter was using night vision goggles. So those are designed to allow the helicopter to operate in very low light situation without any extra illumination. But it also limits the field of vision, and it has a tendency, if you do get a bright light, to bloom or to obscure what you're looking at. So at least one of the pilots in that aircraft, perhaps the one on the side of the airliner, since it came in from the side, could have been using night vision goggles, could have had a vision problem. But even without the night vision goggles, we're looking at a light at night. So it's easy to see the light at night, but it's hard to tell what that light's doing, how fast it's going, where it's going, climbing or descending. So it's a very difficult, against the backdrop of city lights, to know what you're seeing, either with or without vision goggles.
Kid, based upon your experience, how long do you think it will take the NTSB to figure out what happened and be able to communicate that to us?
Well, if the voice recorder and the flight recorder are found and available, and I would expect them to be in good shape, we'll have a lot of information very quickly. The preliminary report should be accurate within a month or so. And then, of course, the full report often takes a year or more. But the preliminary report, with the information we have, video evidence, flight recorders, voice recorders, eyewitness reports, we're going to know what happened here pretty quick.
As we turn towards Reagan reopening at 11 a.m., there have been a lot of questions from the press to officials as, is it safe to fly? What kind of precautions in this kind of scenario would be taken to ensure that?
Well, this is extremely rare, almost random. A reminder that we fly people regularly at 600 miles an hour at 30,000 feet coast to coast, 20 times safer than we drive ourselves to the airport at 60 miles an hour. So, I mean, this is a wonderfully safe system, 30 million flights worldwide. Some of our major airlines have 1 million flights, one airline, 1 million flights a year. So there is regrettably a big exposure when we have that much activity. And this particular airport, very congested, all the military services, many of the airlines operating in very close proximity. This would be a likely place for something to happen, but for another accident like this to happen, very, very rare, and certainly shouldn't discourage anybody from getting on an airliner and going where they need to go. The odds are, below a lightning strike.
Right. Kid, I guess what I've learned this morning, I think a lot of our listeners and viewers have learned as well, is a couple things. One, just how busy the D.C. airspace was. I just kind of figure if it's not New York, L.A., Atlanta, it's okay. But A, it's very, very busy. And B, the mixture of commercial and military, I kind of feel like makes D.C. airspace a little bit unique. How concerning is it, or what precautions do you think are taken in that airspace for, again, military and commercial to be in such close proximity so often?
Well, there are a lot of rules. I mean, I've flown military aircraft in that airspace, although I was flying airplanes, not helicopters. And it was very, very congested. However, there are rules that separate airplane from helicopters, commercial from military. And those rules are followed every day, thousands of times, very successfully. Something didn't work here. I mean, The last thing they said was, I have the aircraft in sight. And the question is, how do you hit something you see and have agreed to avoid? I'm not sure the airliner would have had the helicopter in sight, but there's a real quandary here about we know the rules, and the rules were being followed right up to the last minute, and then something broke down. So confusing for me, and I don't know that anybody could make sense of it yet, but soon.